chiropractors to feel that way, so we can resonate through our communities and really change the destructive nature of what's going on in the world today.
No doubt. And like you said, Bill, I really believe that we will. And, you know, it's really nice, Bill, to know that we get to do something where truth is on our side. You know, it's not like we have to go sell a product or go to a job that we don't, you know, that isn't serving the world. I mean, we go do something that makes a radical difference in people's lives, and it's all about truth, so which is pretty cool.
Right. I mean, that's why I can be as outspoken as I am, because I'm coming from a point of certainty. I mean, I have no doubts about anything that I talk about, but let me tell you, I've done my research, I do the reading, I go to the seminars. I am totally 100% certain, just because I've bathed myself in just constant re-education and constant training and learning. And I think that's what chiropractors really need to get into. They need to turn off their TV a little bit, get into some books, read, and just feel totally confident in delivering the most awesome product, but also delivering the messages, which is a two-pronged thing that chiropractors have to really dive into. Is one, you got to deliver a great product, but two, you got to get out and tell the story, bro.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, let's jump into this. So there's three things that I want to talk about with you, Billy, and I think these are critical. And, you know, you kind of hit the nail on the head, because I really feel like if you ever go to court, your innocence or guilt is always based on evidence, you know, and I think it's one thing to go out there and shout from the mountaintop that chiropractic is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's another thing to go out and prove it, and we're always going to need evidence, you know, to show the lay public, you know, that what we do makes a difference. And it doesn't just make a difference in terms of getting somebody, you know, symptomatically corrected and getting rid of their headaches or their lower back pain or their allergies, but I'm talking makes a radical shift in terms of their happiness and their overall being, and that's what I'm about in practice.
No, I love it. I mean, so am I. I mean, we really want to take people's health. That's what I try to get my peeps in my practice to understand, is that, you know, I'm here. Yeah, they come in with their symptomatic complaints, and then I try to train them. And I use like a dimmer switch on the wall to train them that I want to take their health. I'm going to get them back to where they were before, but then I want to take them to the next level of health. And I also feel, and I mean, I might get flack for this. I get flack all the time, so I'm used to it. I've got really thick skin. I'm very calloused. But I think you should walk your talk. If you're going to be preaching wellness and health, then you got to be a depiction of that. So, I mean, everything that I teach in my practice, I live congruently in my life. I mean, I eat impeccably. I work out every day. I try to program I do program my brain for success. I mean, obviously there's times when we have stress in our lives we all have that, things that you're going to get a curveball every once in a while. And, you know, and I get adjusted on a very, very regular basis, probably more than anybody I know, because I know my body functions at a higher level of vibration. And that's what I attribute the fact that I'm never sick, that I've got more energy than a hummingbird on crack, as I always say. I mean, I want people to be able to, you should lead people, and you have to lead by example, Dr. Dane.
No doubt. And you know what, Billy, that's what I love about you, and that's why I feel so connected to you. And I've always believed, Billy, that you can't tell people what to do. This is the way I raise my kids. You got to show them what to do, you know, and that's why you're so congruent. That's why you are a leader in this profession, because people want to follow people that actually lead by example, not lead by what comes out of their mouth. And it's one of the things I love about you. Right. So, Billy, give us, you know, and I know, you know, if you don't know who Billy is, guys, then I don't know what rock you just crawled out from under, but, you know, just, you know, Billy, when I just to share my story, you know, and this is some of the things I think we share in common that you may not even realize, but, you know, when I graduated chiropractic college in 1991, you know, I was blessed to have my dad, my uncles, my grandfather, their brothers. I had a lot of chiropractors in my family that really infused the spiz into me before I went to school. But I have to tell you, I came out of school with a lot of fear. You know, we were taught in school what we couldn't do, what we shouldn't do. You know, and I came out of school with a lot of fear and reservations about chiropractic, which is amazing. But I was so blessed to work with my uncle and my dad, and you know, the first thing they did to shake off that fear was start taking me to Parker and DE, and you know, I got to listen to just some awesome speakers, Ian Grassam and Jimmy Gregg and Jim Sigafus, and you know, all the greats, and it really put the spiz back into me and this passion back into me to know that, you know, what I'm doing makes a difference. And I know you share that same story, so you know, share a little bit of your story of why you are where you are.
Well, I mean, I've told the story a lot because I do speak a lot, and I don't want to bore people with it, but basically I came out of school, the white coat, 100. I went to LACC, which we call LAC, because we didn't really get any philosophy. We really were trained in the sciences. We got very little of the art of chiropractic, in my opinion. Yeah, we got some diversified, and I think that's about all that we really learned as far as techniques. So I learned most of my techniques outside of school. That's why I became a seminar junkie. And I came out of school just the full white coat, had my little black bag with my stethoscope, and I wanted, look in people's ears and, look in their nose, and I would listen to heart sound tapes all the time in my car, and I wanted to be this Marcus Welby DC, and that's the way I was trained. And I was trained that, we were back pain doctors, and I was trained we were even put the fear of God in us about adjusting people's necks. And, we were to refer back to the system that's totally, I think, the worst health care. It's not even health care, it's disease care. And we do a great job with emergency disease care in this country, but we have to step up the bar us as chiropractors and lead the new health care. So, I came out of school and I totally floundered, but it was in a day, though, where you could flounder and you could still make really a decent living. I was seeing what I thought was a lot at the time, 88 people a week, and, and I was freaking a surfer, dude, and I didn't really need that much money to be happy, and I had a new car and I had new surfboards and life was good. And then I had some friends that were actually in my brother's class, because I have 3 brothers that are chiropractors, and they saw more in me than I saw in myself, and they go, dude, why are you wearing this white coat, and look, why don't you just be yourself? Because I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't, and that's the hardest thing to do in life, is to try to be somebody you're not. And that's, I really want to thank Fred Schofield for getting me out of my shell and allowing me just to be myself, because people like me the way I am. I don't have to put on this facade that I'm this super, articulate, scientific, allopathic chiropractor that, knows more than the body, which in reality we know hardly just a fraction of what's going on in the body. And then finally what they did is they saw more in me, and they dragged my ass kicking and biting and spitting, and they dragged me to DE. And when the minute I walked into DE, I just felt a completely different energy about chiropractic. I felt a love that I'd never felt before, just being around people that were like-minded, and I had never, ever seen anything like DE in my life. People were hugging, there were people on network tables, and I was just like, it was like going to Woodstock for me. And it was just like a 180 shift that I took. And I came back after being stuck at 88 a week, and just merely a few months blossomed to 350. I didn't even know we were supposed to see kids. We were trained in chiropractic school that, we were never ever taught once in chiropractic school to adjust children. And all we learned out was the vaccine schedule and amoxicillin and ear infections. We were never learned that children were supposed to be adjusted. And, I came out of that 180 different paradigm, and when I got that fire burning inside me, it hasn't stopped since probably I went there, and it was probably 1988 was the first time I went there. I don't know the exact. I have some old cassette tapes with Bob Sotilium, and still, actually, believe it or not, listen to those things in my car, because I actually have a cassette player in my Lexus, which is kind of bizarre, but I do.
Nice.
And and it was from there that the fire was lit, and it's been an inferno ever since. And as I get older, and I know more now, because I continually always re-educate myself. I'm going through the Chestnut program again for the second time, because I just love this stuff, and it's good to refresh your brain. It's good to use your brain, and then it just gives you that certainty that you can be bold, you can be proud to stand up for this profession and tell the story. Because if you're not telling the story, there's people out there that are dying, kids are being maimed, injured. They're not going to have any chance to live to the potential of their health in their entire life. So it's our objective, and it should be our objective as chiropractors, to get on the rooftops and yell the story. Because it's just like if the building's burning down and you just want to sit outside and whisper, the building, you got to get in there. You got to let these people know that the system is crumbling, the Titanic is sinking. We need to get off the boat, the allopathetic boat, which we in this country have mislabeled healthcare.
Yeah, and you know what, Billy, you said something really important, and I really resonated with you. You said, there was a point in time where somebody saw more in you than you saw in yourself, and I feel
Dude.
we need to do the same thing for our patients, Bill. We got to see more in them than they see in themselves, and I think that's what we do every day as chiropractors, and that's why it's so important, your communication and being able to shout from the rooftop, because I think people know that in their hearts. They know that they're not living congruently with the way they're designed to live. So I think that's a really important message. And if people are taking notes, I think any growth in your life happened because somebody saw something more in you than you currently were behaving at that point in time in your life.
Right, and you don't play a facade. Just be yourself. People will love you. Are we going to have some explicit contact on here?
Well, I just wanted to throw this out. Just sometimes, our conversations get a little bit heated and
heated. They get heated.
Yeah, they get heated. And if F-bomb drops out of one of our mouths,
and destroying lives, is that why? And people get upset about us? They get dropping an F-bomb or something?
I think people know us by now, and we're just, Billy, you're passionate, I'm passionate, and that just comes out. Sometimes it comes out in different ways, but one of the things I want to do, Billy, is I want to give people, I said in the Facebook post I made this morning, I didn't really realize it, but I thought about you and me, and we have over 50 years of experience in running a practice and taking care of patients, and what I want is I want people to get some of the critical moves, like what we feel is critical to running a successful practice. I know you run a big practice, I run a big practice, we love what we do, but what is it that makes us successful? And at one point, this was about 2007, Billy, when we were, we wanted to get off the tit of insurance, and I didn't like the way our practice was heading, and in terms of the way we were more, we were more insurance than we were cash, and I didn't like it. We were like maybe 70-30, and this is back in 2007. I'm like, enough of this. This isn't the future that I want. So, in my mind, I've always reverse engineered things, Billy. I've always thought, I want a great practice. I had $1 million practice then. I still wanted $1 million practice, but I had to figure out how could I do it and collect cash and get people to pay me cash. And so,
right.
I thought about what are the 3 critical things to a practice. Obviously, new patients, how long they stick around, and then how much they're willing to pay you. And so I just figured it out. I reverse engineered it and said, you know what, if I see 28 new patients a month, if they stick around for 60 visits, which they should, right, and if they pay me $50 a visit, in a year's time, I have a $1 million cash practice, right? And so those are the 3 things I think that are critical if you truly want to have $1 million practice. So I want to pick your brain, if you don't mind, about some of these 3 critical stats, right? So let's talk about new patients first, Billy. And because you speak a lot at seminars, you hear the speakers, and one of the most important topics that you see, whether it's on a webinar or somebody presenting from stage, is how do I get more new patients? And I have to tell you, every time I hear that, I want to pull my hair out.
Me too, dude, if I had it.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason is because that word "get," and I think, again, if you truly love what you do, if you connect with patients, if you have a great product and service, if you deliver a good adjustment, if you love people, it's not how do I get more new patients, right? That word "get" really bothers me. It's more about service, right? So I always think, how do I give more to new patients? And the key word there is give, man. I want to give such a great experience and such a great adjustment and help people once they leave my office to live congruently the chiropractic lifestyle. So I wanted you to share a little bit of your thoughts about new patients, because I know you do a lot of cool stuff, Billy. I see your Facebook posts. You're always doing workshops in the office. So talk about how you keep that lifeblood of new patients flowing and how you give that great experience to your patients.
Well, just like yesterday, we went and spoke at the city of Santa Ana, and it's been my 3rd time there, and you think after 3 or 4 times you would probably fish the place out, but there's still people that like a lot of times are on the fence, and you just go in there with just to serve them, and right before I went up there, the lady, like 10 minutes before, she goes, well, could you throw some stretches in there? And it was so funny that, I was actually thinking that on the way. I should give them some physical stuff to do, because it was an ergonomics workshop, which used to be my least favorite, but I've really turned that one into something that's really actually pretty cool by showing them x-rays and showing them what happens to their spine from sitting, so I get them fired up to maybe do something to maybe like brush and floss their spine to prevent that stuff from happening, obviously, which incorporates chiropractic. And, so I last minute take the PowerPoint, like 5 minutes before we start, and I start sliding some slides in that I got from Chestnut, if I was just some stretches in there. And, you know, you just go in there and love them up, man, and just go in there and say, you know, I'm here to help you guys. I mean, you got any questions or anything? And, you know, and then you just go through and just explain to people just basic things about, you know, nutrition and because I'm big on nutrition, as you know, and I don't use it as a nutraceutical. I just teach people how to friggin' eat, you know. It's just like, I say it all the time, am I a mixer if I show somebody how to play the guitar, you know? It's you know, chiropractors or show them how to surf, you know. I'm just showing them how I eat. It's nothing, you know, had to do whether I'm a chiropractor or not. I just show people the right way to eat. I show my people in my practice the right way to exercise. I mean, I know people want to start throwing darts at you if they're like some upper cervical guy that thinks all you have to do is adjust an atlas on the left and people will magically be healthy and live to be 120. I mean, that isn't reality to me. Right. So I'm 100% just friggin' mega chiropractic all the way. But you know, they got to get the whole lifestyle thing in, and that's why what you're doing is so awesome with the 8 weeks to wellness, because you're doing all that same stuff that I'm doing, and you go in there and it's like, you know, you go in there and you just show a little. I mean, for me, it's not hard, but go in there and just show them you care and you love them and there's no way they don't want to get in your orbit sphere. They just see your energy and you know, everything that you say. It's like you were saying earlier. It's like we got to be able to back up what we say. To me, it's not a good. All we have to do is let people start to friggin' think again, because it's just friggin' common sense what we do. There's no science that needs to prove the fact that people need to eat a congruent diet and exercise and get proper rest. And you know, you just. I'm a biophysics guy, and I'm not 100% biophysics, but I do my own bastardized form of it. And if you study that stuff, you know that it's again common sense to me that if you're going to sit all day on your ass, you're going to have some compression L4-5. There should be some things you just do to reverse that. If you got forward head posture, there's got to be some things you got to do to reverse that. I mean, to me, it's just common sense. And I see it like I work with a lot of surfers, and very, very, very rarely do surfers have problems with neck curves or forward head posture, because when you surf, you have to surf in extension. So, I mean, to me, everything that we do is so commonsensical. I know that's probably not a word, but I coined it. I coined a lot of words because I can't spell. That's why. Some people think I can't spell. It's just I can't type. Everybody. Yeah. But, I mean, and then I went in there yesterday, and you know, we walked out of there with 17 prepays at $20 a head, and you know, and I bonus my team for doing that. They get to keep the money, so that gives them incentive to really sign people up. And you know, I want to be in my practice. I want it to be a win-win-win for everyone. I want it to be for the win, especially number one, just highest priorities for the peeps that come through the practice. I want my team to feel like they're on the team. They're a partner. They're the quarterback. That I don't want to feel like and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I don't like to put myself on a different level of hierarchy. Of course, I'm the one running the show, and I'm the one calling the shots, but I want everyone to feel an equal team member in our goal and mission to change the community. Yeah, and then, like Tuesday, we did a women's health workshop, and we introduced some concepts with thermography, because we're going to start doing that in the office. And, I just want to change the way people think. Next, in the 2 weeks, and this one's been blowing it up. You want new peeps? Just do a vaccine. Get your cojones out and do a vaccine workshop, man. And we do this one, and we did two back-to-back. The first one, we had 80 people here. We had to close it at that, because the room will hold comfortably 80 just with chairs, no classroom style. It fits 50 classroom style. And, then we rescheduled an encore performance, and we had like 60 people show up for that, because it's the biggest, hottest topic that's out there now. Everybody is questioning that bogus friggin' hoax this myth called vaccination, which to me is just a literal poisoning of the youth today. And I know it deep down inside. There's no doubt in my idea. It's the biggest, most diabolical, destructive process that allopathic medicine has to create not only lifetime patients, but to dumb down people so that they'll continue to follow that whole medical model, which is just the most largest crumbling, sinking ship on planet Earth. No doubt. And so you just get people that come into your practice and just take off blinders one at a time, and then you have them to women's health, and then you bring them to nutrition. And the nutrition workshop, I show them exactly how I eat every day. I bring my Vitamix in, I bring my blender. I go through everything that I do to teach them how they can lead a more congruent lifestyle. And then tonight, what do we have? We got an exercise workshop. Dr. Steve in my office teaches that one. And we go through all the Paleolithic styles of exercise to get people, again, doing things that they need to do if they want to be healthier.
Bill, you said something really important. I don't want to skip over it, but I totally agree with you that chiropractic is common sense. Eating healthy is common sense. Exercising is common sense. But we both we both know Brad, and Brad's a great guy. But one of the things he says, I think it's really important to drop this here, is he says we got to get people out of awareness and into action. So I really feel things are common sense, but it's not common practice. And so I think what's important is when we go out and give these talks, the fact of the matter is that if they leave that talk, and when you went out and spoke to this group, if they leave the talk and don't do something different, like get in your office or get connected with you, the likelihood that they're going to change their life is slim to none. So
even if they come in your office, the likelihood is not always that great.
That's right.
You can always lead people. And I know you and I probably care more about their health than sometimes they do. I mean, we would really. There's people that I work with all the time, and it's just try to get them to. I'm on them all the time. To a point where it's almost like I'm badgering them. But I know if they don't do it, they're literally committing suicide by lifestyle.
Right. And so there's very little hope if people aren't in the presence of a chiropractor. Billy, I've said we've come to a point in society where people better have two doctors. And I share this with my patients all the time. It's like, listen, you're going to have a doctor. Most people have a primary care doctor. That's fine. You may get sick sometime in your life. You may need that person. You may get in a car accident. But let me tell you something. You better have a wellness specialist in your life, and that better be a chiropractor, because there's nobody better trained to keep you healthy and keep you out of the hospital, right? Because most people aren't dying of infections anymore. They're dying of chronic disease, and chronic disease is a lifestyle, man. And so you better have a chiropractor in your life to teach you and hold you accountable to making the choices that are going to keep you from getting sick in the first place. So, I feel that it's important to share that message. You need two doctors, man. You need a sick care doctor. Yeah, you already have that person, but do you have a true wellness doctor in your life and for your family?
Yeah, and I don't have a sick care doctor. I mean, I don't know if I totally 100% agree with that.
Right.
Like,
well, I mean, Billy, you make
I know.
An accident, and things shit happens to people,
Shit happens, and I got that, but I mean, I blew my knee out once in surfing in the Maldives, and and I got a friend that's an ortho, and I obviously understand what the point you're trying to make, but I think there was a point that Tony Ebel made at the pediatric conference, EPIC, that I was at a few weeks ago, and it really, really struck me hard, is that, we are going to be the new pediatricians of the future, because it's dangerous, dude, to go to medical doctor. To me, it's like, I got to be on my friggin' deathbed before I would ever go to a friggin' medical doctor, because all they got, if you're a hammer, everything's a friggin' nail. If you go to a drug dealer, you're gonna get drugs. There's no other way about it. And if you take enough drugs, then they're gonna talk you into dicing up your body. And again, I understand some people need their drugs, some people need to be diced up, but that is like very, very, very small percentage of people on this planet. And again, I know that sounds radical, and I'm not advocating people discontinue their medical care. I'm just saying, if we can really get people to start leading healthier lifestyles, we're going to need medicine a hell of a lot less, and we're going to be a hell of a lot healthier. We're going to get a hell of a lot of people off drugs, and we're going to prevent a lot of needless suffering and premature deaths in this country if we can just start taking the ball in this profession and lead it where it needs to go, because we are, whether people want to like it or not, wherever camp you're in, we are the leaders in healthcare.
No doubt. And Billy, the bottom line is there's an inverse relationship between wellness care and sickness care, isn't it? The more you invest time, energy, your behaviors in wellness care, the less you're going to need sickness care, and it's the period, end of story. That's the bottom line for people. People know they shouldn't smoke. People know what they should be doing, and if you don't have the discipline to do it, then you're gonna have to pay the consequences. So I think
you have to pay the piper.
No doubt. And to wrap up this point on new patients, guys, it's not a quantity question, it's a quality question. And Billy hit it right on the head. One of the busiest guys that I know travels all over the world, speaks to chiropractors, but you know what? He still has time to get out of his office. He still has time to do workshops, and there's so many chiropractors who make excuses, well, until, my workshop is perfect, or I don't know how to close a workshop.
Yeah, that's the worst.
It is, man. Just get out there and do something. Start giving. How can I improve the experience I'm giving to my patients? How can I use my God-given talents, whether that's your voice or that's your hands or, that's your artistic, and you can do that through your office. Whatever it is, start giving more to your patients, and I'm telling you, people are going to want to flock to you. So let's talk about a new topic.
Let me. You just hit a good point too about the procrastination thing. And I'm the worst at that. I just scheduled the workshop. I scheduled the sleep workshop. I had no idea what I was going to do. And guess what I do? The day before, I throw that friggin' PowerPoint together because you know what? That's just the way I am. I mean, just put it on the books, schedule it, get people there, and you'll get your PowerPoint done. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And the thing that Barry Anderson always says, he says, commit first, figure it out later. Get it on the calendar, and then guess what? You have to figure it out.
I'm glad you loved Barry Anderson and Dan Bai was here last night. Those guys are probably the best day one, day two on planet Earth.
Oh, no doubt, man. They're coming to my office
listeners
this
haven't
weekend.
been to it, you're frigging blowing it. I mean, in my opinion, it's just it's so current, so fresh, so
awesome,
good,
man.
It just gives you such a higher level of confidence. And I mean, I love those dudes. Yeah. I'm going to go for the third time because I'm a slow learner. Because I can't say enough about those guys.
They're coming to my office this week, and I'm doing my third boot camp. And I figured out how to get them to literally come to a hotel right next to my office. I don't even have to travel to go to boot camp.
Dude, that's what I do now.
That's awesome. So, Billy, let's talk about what I call sticky patients. And this one's always been an easy one for me because I have such a passion for chiropractic, and I think that people should be adjusted from cradle to grave. I mean, it's just the way I live my own life with my family. We have to confront the brutal reality, Billy. And one of the brutal realities is if you go out and ask people what does a chiropractor do, you're going to get a lot of answers, but it's going to be somewhere on the line of they treat back pain, and that we've got to.
That's a good answer compared to the ones I get from most people.
Yeah, you're right. But my point is that we've got to change the brand perception. Like you said, we've got to be seen as the new pediatric wellness doctors, somebody who's going to be the family physician for the whole entire family, keep people healthy. So we got to get people to stick around. So talk a little bit about PVA. I know you have a really high PVA, but maybe we already hit on it, Billy, in just terms of creating a great experience. But, one personal thing, I've always believed, Billy, that I could be as busy as I choose to be. If I want to love and if I want to serve and if I want to learn to give a better adjustment and learn to communicate better, I just know people are going to stick around. They're going to want to be around my energy. But just talk a little bit about PVA and what you see as strategies chiropractors can use to increase their PVA. Because you talk to chiropractors all the time, Billy. I talk to chiropractors all the time. And one of the things I know is that most chiropractors have a shitty PVA.
Yeah. I think some of those people are maybe not into it for the right reasons. I think if you're money-driven, people will start to smell that after a while. I think if you're purpose-driven, and you really, really, really love people, I think it comes down to loving people. And in my practice, my people know that I love them. They know that I'll go to the edge of the earth for them. They know that we would do anything to help them and their family and their kids. And, we come in here, I'll come in on holidays, we'd go do house calls when someone can't get out of their bed or whatever. So we're here for them. And, I practice here with my brother, Dr. Joe, who's just, he's even more of a lover than me because I can have a tendency to be more of a dictator. I'm strict with my people. He's a little bit more laid back. He's a little more introverted than me, and people can have a tendency to maybe resonate with him a little bit more than me because I know that people, if they don't do their stuff, we're not going to get results. And I think part of it for you and I is that we have an objective way of measuring a person's progress. It's just we're not basing it on how they feel. And then also it comes down to just teaching people that, it's like you brush and floss your teeth. Why wouldn't you do the same thing to your spine? I get them to understand that you on their first and second visit, this is something that you're going to want to do for life. It's not something, it's like eating healthy or it's like exercise. Chiropractic is in the same arena as if this is a lifetime gig, and you got to let people know right up front. Now, does everybody stick around? Hell no. I mean, we get people that drop it. People's priorities change. People move. People die. So, yeah, that's why you got to continue doing some marketing. And I think one other thing that's super important, and this is focus. I mean, if you're going to focus, you got to have laser focus when you have full-on PCT, present time consciousness. And those are things that I really always have to work on, but it's also your table talk is so important on a daily basis. And that's why, you know, I don't watch TV. When Michael Jackson died, I didn't know until people in my practice were telling me that he died, and then I just, as soon as they tell me that he died, I'll turn it into a chiropractic story so I can start talking chiropractic anytime somebody brings it up. I'll say, well, he was 2D. I think he had a subluxation at T2, T3 or something. That's, you know, I don't know what he died from, but that's what I turn it into because I want to take whatever the conversation. What's that?
He was drugged to death. That's how he died.
Well, whatever. I know. But that day, nobody knew what he died from, so I just basically, I always try to turn stuff into a chiropractic story rather than talking about all the news and the doom and gloom in the world. So I don't know anything else. I don't know anything about politics. I don't know anything about sports. The only thing I really know about is what we do, is trying to change people's perspectives on their realities about trying to get them to a healthier plateau in their life.
Yeah, and one of the things I've learned, Billy, I've always learned by observing people, and I've been blessed to have so many chiropractors in my family, you know, my father, my grandfather, my uncles. But one of the things I've always observed, and you know I love to read just like you. It's one of the reasons I love Spiz Magazine because you're always putting in there good topics, good new books to read. You know, but this book really changed my thought process. And, you know, I have a woman that literally started with my grandfather over 50 years ago that comes in the same time every single week at 11:30 on Wednesdays, and I can't remember this woman ever missing an adjustment. And you know, it's become a habit. Obviously, after 50 years, if you're doing something once a week, you pretty much have a habit locked down. And you know, I read this book, Billy, and it's so cool because this author, he says, you know, habits basically come in two flavors, good and bad, right? But all habits, whether they're good or bad, share three things in common, and that's a cue, a routine, and a reward. That everything that we do is, you know, there's a reward involved. And there's a cue that reminds us to doing it. So, for example, this woman I was talking about, you know, at 11:30 on Wednesday, after 50 years of being adjusted, you know, what do you think she's thinking about on Wednesdays at 11:30? I got to go get my adjustment. So, one of the things that we do in our practice, Billy, is we really try to create habits around this thought process. How do we cue our patients properly so that they know that, hey, once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever their adjustment schedule is, you know, that's my time to go get adjusted. It's just like you mentioned brushing your teeth. You know, nobody had to think about getting up this morning and brushing their teeth. They probably did it the same time, the same way, because it's become such an unconscious habit. So, you know, I think that as part of this is learning to cue our patients properly. And the problem with PVA is that the cues people are using is pain. You know, they're not being cued properly, that you don't get adjusted. You know, when you're in pain, you get adjusted for function and to keep yourself healthy. So I just want everybody to think about what cues you're using to get people to commit to care.
Right. Beautiful.
So I love this statement. You know, Billy, one of my patients is a really big wig for KPMG, which is a huge marketing firm. He's like really high up, and you know, he said one of the things I love about your practice, Dane, is that you've created an awesome culture here. And he told me, you know, I've been to 4 chiropractors. Nobody has to talk to me about believing in chiropractic. He said, I'm already a believer. He said, but the difference is in your practice is that you've created a culture of wellness. You know, you've created a culture from your staff to what you recommend to the fact that you do fitness in the office. And he said, I can come in one place and I know that this is a culture that's going to keep me healthy. And he said, you know, there's a saying from Peter Drucker that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And you know, if I have to say one thing I really admire about you is that you're creating a culture in chiropractic that I'm really proud to be a part of. You know, I love going to CalJam because to me, CalJam is the new DE for me. It's where I can go and be around my brothers and my sisters in chiropractic and hear just awesome speakers and just feel really proud of who I am and what I do. So maybe just talk for a minute. And you did mention it, Billy, and I feel the exact same way. You know, I'm really into my team and bonusing my team and showing them love, and I hug my patients. And you know, I want to create a culture of love where people want to be around me, and not just my patients, man. I want to love my staff too and make sure that they know how much I appreciate the fact that they're working hard and we're serving and we're changing lives. So maybe talk a little bit about your culture.
I mean, people say, I mean, I hear this a lot, and I'm sure you hear it a lot in your practice too, that the minute people walk in the door, they feel a warmth, an energy, a feeling of love. And you know, that's more than just the paint and the carpet that we have. And again, I also make sure, like, there's a guy in my office painting today. I mean, I'm super AR about making sure that when people come to my office, it is the friggin' Ritz-Carlton. So part of culture is that every detail in your office, from, you know, just everything. I mean, there's flowers. I go to Trader Joe's every Sunday and I buy, you know, just like $30 worth of flowers, and we put flowers in the men's room, the ladies' room. They're at the front desk. You know, when people, and then we have food when the new peeps come and sign in. We have a whole basket full of food and drinks. We want them. We just go. We take the service thing to the next level, and then then we have. Then we take everything to the next level. I mean, we obviously, I feel that we give some of the best damn adjustments on the planet, because that's all I've done for 28 years, except for the first couple of years I had my little hydroculator tank too, until I saw the light after I burned a few people, you know. And I used to do ultrasound with it not even plugged in. You know, we had a really old ultrasound. So I went through the physical terrorist kind of phase in the beginning. But I mean, when people come to the office, it's a 180 from what they're getting in the world, because they come in and they get that love in here. They get those hugs, and I think it's important for people to get hugs.
No doubt.
And what's that?
No doubt, man. I hug my patients all the time. Matter of fact, that's one strategy, guys, man. Just when you go to practice next time, hug every single one of your patients when they come in. Just say, you know what, I really appreciate you, and I just want to let you know that I love you. And just watch what happens, man.
And you're going to find out the ones that don't like to be hugged. Yeah, there's a couple. I think I have 2 people in my practice that don't like hugs, and she actually specifically told me that. So I honor that. So I shake her hand. So not everybody's a hugger. You know, I can usually feel the first time I get a hug whether it's a real hug or if it's one of those like kind of like brush you off hugs. So to me, it's almost like a reflex. You know, especially like if you go to a chiropractic event, we're just a hugging profession.
No doubt.
And people don't get enough hugs inside. And people don't get enough love. And they don't, you know, and sometimes people go, that's the only hug I get all day. And I just feel so sorry for them, because I'm usually getting about 150 hugs a day or whatever it is. The culture is just when you come in, your office should be a reflection of everything in your life. That's why everything should be impeccable. And everything from the paperwork to the form, everything should be at the highest level of service, the highest level of quality. And, I mean, like I said, and get results. You got to get results. And I used to have that on the back of my business card a long time ago, is results speak, man. I mean, the reason we're busy is because what we do works. It's not, chiropractic works, but the chiropractor first has to have, number one, faith in what he's doing, but also has the technical skills to move some bones. And I think that's getting to be more and more of a lost art in this profession with the way some of the schools are going. And the adjustments like sixth down on the level of what they do with patients anymore.
No doubt. Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, Billy, because I think we answered it. But you've been in chiropractic for a long time. I've been in practice for a long time, and I've seen all different types of economic models. From box on the wall to when I was young growing up, my dad charged $13 an adjustment. My grandfather charged $7 an adjustment. I mean, I've seen it all. But I think a lot of people think to give and serve and love, that you have to give it away. You have to make it really, really cheap for people so that everybody can get care. And maybe just share and I don't believe that. I think people pay you in direct proportion to the value that you create. And so if you're charging very little, it's because you feel in your heart you're not creating enough value. And I think I create huge value for people, and they should pay me for it. So talk a little bit about that.
I mean, I basically do what Dan and Barry are teaching now, and it works amazing. And it just goes through finding how, and this is how it affects their life, the affects their daily living.
Yeah.
And people don't typically come to you for their headaches or whatever it is. They come to you because it's starting to screw something up in their life. And it was such a blessing to me that I had a knee injury a few weeks ago. It wasn't an injury. It was just an exacerbation of that old injury I had when I was in the Maldives. And the funny thing is I hadn't had a problem with this knee for 15 years, and I started thinking to myself, I wonder why my knee never bothers me. And guess what started to happen? I put that in my brain. I put that in my nervous system. And guess my knee started bothering me to a point where for an entire week I could not surf. And when there's things that you really, really, really love to do in life, and you're inhibited from doing that, that really screws with your psyche. So what I learned from Dan, and I mean, I kind of knew it before, but they really, really pushed this in their program, is to find out how that whatever their problem is affecting the capacity to live the life that they want to live.
And it
whether
is.
It's family.
That's the key. It is, and people aren't asking that question. I totally agree with you, Billy.
Because you got to find out what their hot button is, and to me, I would pay anything to go surfing again. So, you know, if I got a cough, because I was even thinking that I was going to need to go have an MRI and have. I mean, it was bad, dude. I could barely walk.
Right.
And I was thinking I was going to have some arthroscopic surgery on this thing, you know, because I like to surf, dude. It's like breathing for me. And so you got to find out where their values are, and then you bring them up, and then that increases the value of what you do. And yeah, I see a lot of kids and families. We always make it affordable for people. There's some people that can't afford you. I mean, I work with everybody, but the thing is that I'm so blessed is that, you know, you can't outgive the universe.
No doubt.
You know, there's people that come into my practice that, I mean, I take care of a lot of Hispanic people in the area, and they're not always the most wealthiest people, and they've got big families. And for me to say that I charge every one of those people in that family $5,000 a head ain't going to happen. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Clarence Donstead or B.J. Palmer. You're not going to get – you got a family of 7 Hispanics coming. You're not going to get $35,000 a year from those people. I don't care who you are. And I think you have to, you know, have programs in place where you can work with families so that they can bring the entire family. We've got our own systems for that. We've got great family rates. You got to make it so it's affordable. And one of the things I learned when I went through the CLA program, because I've been through every program on planet Earth, let me tell you, because I'm an avid seminar junkie. Because if I'm going to be in this profession, I want to be the best at what I do. And you can learn from everybody. And one of the things Steve Hoffman said that resonated with me, the average American family has about $3,000 to $4,000 of money they can put towards health care. And again, I'm in more of an affluent area, so I obviously extrapolate that to a higher level. But you got to, you know, most chiropractors couldn't afford a lot of their own practice. You got to be congruent with your own values. But the thing is, if you can raise the level of a person's consciousness of what they're really getting as an investment in future health. You can pay for health now, or I say this all the time, or you can pay for your crisis care later. Let me tell you what, it's a lot easier paying for health right now than going through all the crises of heart attacks, heart disease, diabetes, just 85% of people in this country are dying from a chronic disease that's totally 100% preventable by what we deliver to the public.
Yeah, and you know what, Billy? You said something really important. I don't want to skip over it because it made me think. You know, when you have a successful practice and you know you're doing well, you know, you don't mind taking a family and saying, hey, this family, you just know, like you said, that they can't afford your normal rates, and so you don't mind giving that to that family. So, and because you know that you can't outgive the universe, and you know that you're doing well, but you know, so many chiropractors aren't doing well because they have a low self-esteem, you know, and they can't communicate the value, and they can't deliver on the goods, and they haven't created an excellent culture in their practice, and so it becomes like a vicious cycle of downward spiral. So, I mean, I totally agree, and I just want to thank you for being on the webinar. The thing I wanted to do is just open it up, guys, to questions. I want to just make sure we covered everything. You know, I think this is a huge problem, being liked versus being respected. I know, Billy, you don't really necessarily care. I think you care if people like you, but I think it's more important that you're respected than you're liked. And I think that one of the things I love about you, dude, is I respect you so much because I've gotten to know you and I've gotten to watch how you behave, and I respect you as a leader in this profession because of what you do, not just what you say.
Well, thank you, brother. And I'm really, 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 really stoked to have you on the stage this year. I mean,
let's talk about that just a little bit, because one of the things I want people to do is know about CalJam. And if I can give my own shameless plug, this will be my 4th year coming to CalJam. And like I said earlier, guys, when I got out of school, man, I had my head up my ass. 4 or 5 of my really dear friends in chiropractic college don't even practice anymore, because they had their heads up their butts too, but they didn't have DE, and they didn't have a family to turn to that pulled their head out of their rear end. And like Billy said, they saw more in me than I saw in myself at the time. And I feel like CalJam has become the new DE, Billy. I really have. And if you're a chiropractor and you love what you do, you should be humbled and proud to be a chiropractor, and you should want to come to events like this so you can hear the best speakers in our profession and be around people that are passionate, that are going to love you up and raise the bar for you. So, Billy, maybe just touch on CalJam. I'm really excited to be on stage and share my message and my story and my love for chiropractic, but talk a little bit about CalJam.
Right, and I don't want to. There's no discredit at all to DE. I don't want to ever try to replace DE. But what I'm trying to bring together with CalJam is a completely different venue for people. And I mean, I've got the plan laid out. It's something that has to have diversification. It can't be just chiropractic for 3 days, okay? Because my vision is, yeah, I want the chiropractors to come, and that's what you build it, and they will come. But my vision is to grow this thing outside of just the chiropractic profession and make it into a health and wellness festival where people will want to come to listen to Mercola or want to listen to Sherry Tenpenny. They want to come and listen to Joe Dispenza. They want to come listen to Dane Donahue about 8 weeks to wellness. They want to come listen to Dr. Claire O'Neill teach about the efficacy of thermograms over mammograms. I want people to, I want the general public to be attracted to this event, but we always want at the preface of this whole thing, at the precipice of this whole thing, we want the chiropractic story there because we want people to come to a venue where they're actually going to come and hear, yeah, things about nutrition, but that's just the bait to get them to come in and then get people to really understand what real chiropractic's got. It's just my way of spreading the word. There's other ways we're going to, like last night we had, not Dane Donahue.
Dan By.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about the radio, and we talked about the fact that Alan Miner, Jesus, my brain, the 70s brain again is the, I went through a bad period in the 1970s. Alan Miner talked about the radio. That's another great, I'm just so fired up to start doing that. We got to start letting people know, and we're right there, folks, to get this to the 100th monkey, where people actually, there's going to be a shift in consciousness about real healthcare. And CalJam is just a way for us to come together. Yes, there's no way you can't come to CalJam. Your practice, people tell me their practice double, triple, quadruple, because number one, you get that confidence, and number two, you're getting enough meat and potatoes to go back to keep you busy forever as far as what kind of workshops you can do, how you can tell the story, and then you're hanging around the most successful chiropractors in the world on top of it, because everybody that comes to CalJam usually are the movers and shakers in our profession, because, I mean, that's what it attracts.
No doubt. And Billy, if I could say something real quick, it's just such an awesome event. But last year, I remember after CalJam was done, I remember walking in the bathroom and just getting emotional because I have some really dear friends that are chiropractors that are struggling, and you know what it's like, Billy. You talk to them, you try to love them up, you try to get them to come, and I'm like, man, how can I help my friends? And I went out and I bought 4 tickets for my good buddies. That have never been to a CalJam, and I'm giving it to them this year for Christmas presents because I love them, man, and I want them to be loved up and to be surrounded by people that are going to teach them how to be a successful, great, passionate, loving chiropractor. So, I mean, I think that this is not only something that you want to attend, but think about the people that you want to bring that are suffering in this profession, guys, because there's a lot of your friends who are suffering, and they don't need to suffer if they just learned how to be, learn how to be a great chiropractor.
Yep, and also if you got people in your practice that you think that are really thinking honestly about becoming chiropractors, I'll tell you a story about, this was probably the first or second year I did CalJam. One of my peeps came to the event. In fact, I got about 100 of my peeps that come to the event because they love it, man. They look forward to it every year because it's friggin' amazing, man. The speakers are all just like gold. But she came up to me and she was crying to me at the end on Friday, and I go, Sandy, what's wrong? And she was crying to me, and she goes, this event was so amazing. If I wasn't so old, I'd go to chiropractic school today. So, yeah, my vision is to get people to understand the story. My vision is to get people to want to go to chiropractic school, and we're going to flood the right chiropractic schools and starve the ones that are creating the cancers in our profession, the ones that want to bring drugs into the profession. So, yeah, I got a lot of vision with this thing, and all I ask the chiropractors is just show up, man. I'm doing everything else from putting the music together, the whole production, everything, getting the speakers lined up. And all you need to do is buy a plane ticket and we have reserved seating, so the sooner you buy your seats, the closer you're going to be. And we're doing it in a 5-star venue. I want chiropractors to ride first class. We should be driving the Learjet of healthcare.
No doubt.
We should celebrate the wins in this profession. That's why we have the gala dinner where we all dress up black tie on Friday night, and then Saturday night we have the dance your arse off disco party that morphs into an 80s metal fest. And if you want to see chiropractors have fun, I've never, ever in my, and I've been to a lot of friggin' parties in my life, but I've never been to a party as fun as a Cal Jam party because people just cut loose. And chiropractors are wild to begin with, but then you mix maybe a couple of beers in there and some rock and roll, and it's like, all hair's off. It's out of control, and I don't even drink, and it's just like I have the best time of my life.
So, Billy, we only got a couple minutes. Go
ahead.
I was going to say we only have a couple minutes. I want to take a couple questions from people. Because,
perfect.
You got 2 people here, guys, that have been in practice a long time, and we love you. We want to help you. Share what you're struggling with. Share your questions. Just write them in the dialogue box. There's a question dialogue box, and let Billy and I answer them for you. So let's take maybe 2 or 3 questions. And Billy, while they're typing in their questions, you can finish up.
Okay. I don't know what I was going to say, but I'm just fired up about it. And I just pray that people come and support it, because I know it's going to grow. It's already growing. It grows every year, and we're going to grow out of the venue that we're at. We'll probably sell out this year at close to 3,000 people, and then we're going to start looking for a bigger venue. We're already looking into either a venue at UCI or maybe even the Honda Center, which is not very close to here as well.
Cool.
But those are good problems to have, growing out of it.
It's just beautiful. It is first class.
Yeah, I'm going to be bummed about getting it because that place is pretty stellar.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area, man. It's just top notch, man. Like I said, Bill, I'm in tears most of the time when I'm sitting through Cal Jam and the speakers because I just think what I've been through in chiropractic my whole life and what my family's been through. It's like a culmination to sit there and think, I'm so proud that I'm a chiropractor, and you should be proud.
Loud and proud, baby.
Absolutely. So let me see if we got any questions. Wes Nyberg said he's going to be at Cal Jam, which is awesome. You're going to have a blast, Wes. And let me see if we have any other questions. Go on, guys. Send in your questions.
I think I scare people.
No.
People never like to ask me questions. Maybe I intimidate people.
No.
Okay, good.
You don't.
I'm really just.
I mean, the first time you don't intimidate. This is kind of cool, Bill. The first person who told me about you. You probably don't even know the story, but there's a patient of mine, Donna Anderson. Do you remember Donna Anderson?
Of course.
Yeah. So Donna is a patient of mine. So she comes in. This is 8-9 years ago. She says, "Man, I saw this crazy dude. He's just freaking crazy, but he is in love with chiropractic." And she told me about you, and that was the first I've ever heard of Billy Demoss. It was kind of cool.
And then what was your first experience at Cal Jam?
It was 3 years ago, and I forget who recommended. Oh, it was Brad. Brad recommended Cal Jam, and I came out and just had a great time. I brought my team. My sister didn't come out the first year. She came out the second year and just fell in love with it. She's, my sister. It means everything to me. I practice with her, and she just loves you and loves what you're doing. And I mean, it's just an awesome party. It's
and I like to say we love what we're doing because this is a team effort. I can't do it with all the great speakers and everybody showing up, and even the sponsors and the vendors and all those people are all part of the whole mission. I'm really thankful for Standard Process for stepping up to the plate again this year because these things cost. It cost me literally $400,000 to throw that party last year. It's like a big wedding, a huge friggin' wedding, okay, and with 3,000 people at it. And
right.
It's a lot of work, and that's why I really stress people if you could just help us out by buying your tickets earlier. There's people that want to wait till the last week. That really it's a lot of stress for us to try to get tickets out and everything coordinated. If you could take care of things now, you're going to save money. You're going to get better seats. You can just go to our website, which is californiajam.org or caljam.org, and we have a really cool website, which you see floating. A little different than your average website, but that's Cal Jam's a little different. We got a little extra spizzerincton floating around, and I really got the idea from going to DE, and I said the only thing that would make DE better is if they had a little rock and roll at it, and that's what we added to it.
It is. That does make a really big difference, Billy. It is an awesome party. So we got a couple questions. Somebody asked, do you adjust on the first visit?
No, never. And every time I do, I kick myself in the ass. It's the worst thing that you can ever do, in my opinion, because it destroys the whole. I've done it a couple times. I make exceptions, and every time I do it, bites me in the ass. And it's just like the next time. And here, let me tell you a really, really good story. Is I just had this lady that came in that just fell out of her bed, and she was a friend of one of my really, really good peeps. You know, so sometimes you want to do something a little extra for this lady, and she wanted me to adjust her on the first visit, and you know. When you do that, you don't really thoroughly look at the x-rays, and then this is the one that I'll always remember. I looked at her x-ray, and I kind of looked at it, and then I looked at it again, and then I looked at it again, and then she had a friggin' fracture at C5, and if I would have just rushed and adjusted her without doing a thorough enough review of those films, you know, I could have been friggin', I'd probably be in jail right now. Yeah. So she needed to have surgery, dude. She broke her neck by falling out of bed. And again, she'd had a history of neck pain. She had a history of shoulder pain. She had a reverse curve. But yeah, right there, plain as day was, and I showed that thing on Facebook. If that's not enough of a reason to not adjust on the first visit, again, I'm big on x-rays too. That's me. I mean, again, most people would have adjusted her with her history and just the fact that she just fell out of her bed without, you know, even thinking twice about it. So I like to see the bones I'm moving. That's me. Of course, I like to do thermography. We do a postural. In fact, my exam room looks exactly like your exam room. I was like tripping. I had that same little chart on the wall. So,
well, this is a follow-up question, Billy. Somebody said you said that results are important in measuring objectively to make people understand function over pain. So, what objective tests do you relate to function for patients instead of ortho tests relating to pain? And again,
ortho tests number one are bogus in my opinion, and I learned that from Pat Tempo. You know, pushing on heads and janking on legs. I mean, that's just, it's not chiropractic, number one. I use inclinometry, number one. We measure range of motion, and there's never, I don't think ever since I've been in practice, somebody's range of motion doesn't improve. I mean, if they're doing their exercises and they're getting adjusted, their range of motions are going to improve. So we measure that digitally with a handheld inclinometer. We do thermography, and then I retake x-rays. And then I'm big on doing a kind of a bastardization of biophysics with some petabon thrown in there, with drop table adjusting, diversified adjusting. I use Denner rolls. We do two-pull. We have them use cervical pillows. We have them do decompression tracks in the office. We do inversion. We do wobble chairs. We do stuff in the office that's pretty much almost all unattended stuff that they do after they get adjusted, and then we give them other exercises that they're going to learn in a workshop tonight. So that, yeah, we're going to see some massive, massive changes on re-X-ray. And I mean, I hear these stats that we, you know, on average, a biophysics doctor changed curves 12 degrees. We see massive changes, but that's because I'm a tyrant, and I'm always on people to make sure they do what they're supposed to do. Because if it's just like if you're their trainer and you tell them to do bicep curls, you're going to look at their bicep in like, you know, 16 weeks or 20 weeks, and you're going to be able to tell if they did the bicep curls or not, because when I retake the x-ray on them, there's physical evidence, objective measurable evidence of whether or not they're following through, because everybody that does this stuff usually gets dramatic changes on the x-ray.
No doubt. And I would also say, and Barry says this, and I've been doing it for years, Billy, but you also want to complement their own paradigm. You know, so people come in and they're used to getting their blood pressure and their resting pulse, and you know, we do a functional movement screen and we do people's BMI, and the reason I do is because we see awesome changes without drugs. You know, you can help somebody's blood pressure, you can lower the resting pulse, you know, you can get them functionally moving better and their core strength improve with chiropractic care and exercise and all the things we advocate. So start measuring those things and show people, you know what, you don't need to take that statin for your cholesterol if you change your lifestyle. So it's not just the chiropractic parameters that maybe don't fit into their paradigm right away, but also try to connect with some biometrics that do connect with their paradigm, because you'll be amazed, you know, when you start to implement these things, that you can not only affect curves, you know, but you can affect real physiology.
And like I saw some of your pictures, I don't know where I saw them, of get pre and post on those. What is that little posture grid thing called again?
It's called Posture Pro.
Yeah, but I have that screen in the back too, and on the wall. And you do those pre and post, and not only their posture's better, but they've lost freaking weight. You know, people lose weight all the time in here.
No doubt.
Because they apply what they learn.
Right.
There's no way you can't lose weight.
Yeah. You know, and just to finish up, Billy, I sat down with a couple yesterday And, they went through 8 weeks to wellness, and, it was just amazing to hear their story of it wasn't just weight loss. It was just, they feel like they've gotten their life back, and, they've already referred their 2 sons, and it was so easy for them to get into the next 6 months of care. But, I felt good. I felt like, this one dude was really unhealthy, Billy. He was like a couple years away from biting it if he wasn't going to change his life. And, to see that we totally changed these people around, the way they're eating, the way they're moving, the fact that they're getting adjusted, and they feel so indebted to the fact that we've really changed their life in such a dramatic way. And to me, that's what it's all about. So, I love you. I appreciate you. We're about a minute over, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But guys, be at Cal Jam, and Billy, thanks for being on the webinar. I appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, I love you, bro. You know that, and I love everybody out there.
All right, guys.
God bless.
See ya.